Hi gamers, it's the Game Faerie and this is something new, Casper Slide Part 2. I am going to be doing a recap of a video game movie today. Yeah! I hope y'all like this idea. Definitely like this video if you do and subscribe to the channel because I'm sure I will be doing some more. Today I am going to be recapping the Sonic the Hedgehog movie 2. I have not seen this movie before, so I am very excited to be able to watch it. I did see the first one a little bit ago. I think it was sometime early last year or maybe within the last 2 years. I thought it was okay. Listen, I love seeing our boy Sonic on the big screen, but it definitely lacked the music from Sonic, and that was quite a bit of a letdown. So I am going to go ahead and get started with the recap. This is the Game Faerie Podcast, so you can find the audio only portion of this on Spotify, the Game Faerie Podcast. So we start off with the Paramount symbol, the ring surrounding it, and then we have a zoom in of the Sega logo. Sonic Adventure 1 is going on right there in the middle. I'm loving it so far. I think that is so cute. We arrive on the Mushroom Planet in big letters, and we see a mushroom bloom open, tip over another, and then there's this intricate series of knocking over different things, going to a stone that hits another mushroom, that hits a pulley, that fills a cup full of mushrooms, that then knocks a fake Sonic down a slow ramp, that trickles some water into a cup, and immediately, boom, we see Dr. Eggman, who is played by Jim Carrey, and he picks up the cup that the water trickled down into, and he is looking quite disheveled. Eggman was trying to make the mushrooms taste like a suitable drink for his palate, all while seething about kicking the butt of Sonic the Hedgehog. On the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie, Eggman did come in contact with one of Sonic's quills, and this quill has so much energy in it. Eggman is on this planet. He wants to use Sonic's quill in order to power up a machine to shoot a portal and get off of the Mushroom Planet. When he does that, though, he does open a portal, and 3 strange people come out of this portal. They have spears in their hands. They're looking very, I don't want to say Mad Max-like, but they are completely covered in almost like this armor look, and they are inspecting Eggman and the quill. Eggman has set up this elaborate system of traps in case anyone tries to mess with him. So one gets flung off, one gets smashed. Like, there's just all these traps that he has set up because I guess he's been on this place for quite a while now. That's what it's seeming like. But he wants to get off the planet and finally has his chance with this new open portal. He runs towards the portal, and this is when we see our first glimpse of Knuckles coming out. We see Knuckles' fist. We see his eyes. They're glowing purple. It's very intense looking. And Knuckles is played by Idris Elba, which is interesting because I feel like Knuckles is supposed to be like 16. So the voice is a little deep. I'm just going based off of Sonic Heroes. And I think it said Knuckles is like 15 or 16 years old. Knuckles does see the quill that Dr. Eggman is holding and is like, "Where did you get that?" We zoom out and we arrive in Seattle. Now, in the big city, we start on some sort of heist. There are so many police cars out and about following this truck. And I guess Sonic is trying to be a little vigilante here. He was in wait on top of a building nearby. Of course, he had to grab a little chili dog action before he rides out to save the day. And I don't know if Sonic knew how to drive on the first movie, but apparently he knows how to drive now. He's taking control of the heist vehicle and is just like cruising around. He's a pretty good driver, which is very surprising. Then, of course, in his attempt to save the day, Sonic causes more chaos than the original heistmen would have done. So the city is pretty destroyed. The bad guys are calling him a terrible hero. But we gloss over that, and now it is the next morning, and Sonic is saying hello to Green Hills. We see him speeding through. He's saying hello to the people, and then going back to his home, which is in the attic of his human companion from the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Tom, who is played by James Marsden, I believe, and Tika Sumpter is Maddie, and they are his pretty much parents. I'm definitely getting less of the fish out of water vibe, though. The first one was pretty filled with it, but this movie not as much. Now, Tom, the father figure, is not too happy about Sonic wanting to be a vigilante and causing chaos in the city. So he does take him out on a little fishing trip and talks to him about it. He tries to talk some sense into little Sonic, who is just so convinced that he is ready to be a hero and he wants to save the day. While Tom is trying to give him the talk of what being a hero is really about. So after the fishing trip, Tom and Maddie are talking about going to a trip to Hawaii, and they are super excited. Tom has the Hawaiian shirt going on there, and they are traveling straight to Hawaii via Sonic Ring. So they are leaving little Sonic alone with the dog. Definitely nothing wrong will happen, of course. And they are gone for 2 days. So of course, Sonic, being the kid that he is, decides to get wild. He's skateboarding in the house. He's jumping on the bed. He's eating chips. He creates a bubble bath. Him and the dog are just having the time of their lives. We then skip over to a Sonic Ring opening in the forest, and we see our first glimpse of Tails. Tails is so adorable, using his little double tails to glide around like a helicopter. He is using a machine to detect Sonic. And while Sonic is partying, Tom is meeting Tika Sumpter's character. What was her name? Oh my. Maddie. I want to just call them Tika and James, but Tom is meeting Maddie's family in Hawaii. And they are not big fans of him based off of events that happened in the last movie. I think he left her tied to a chair or something. It's been a while since I saw it. I should have watched that one before I went into this one. But they are, I'm going to say it's very hot and cold energy in Hawaii. Oh, and it's actually not Tom and Maddie that are getting married. It's Rachel and Randall, which are their friends. Of course, immediately after hanging up, some crazy events go down, and Dr. Eggman breaks in to see Sonic. He's ready for revenge. Eggman doesn't come alone and brings our boy Knuckles. I was very curious to see how the two are going to be friends, because if you know anything about the Sonic series, Sonic and Knuckles are buds. They're not enemies. So it was very interesting seeing Knuckles just go ham on Sonic's face. They immediately start fighting as soon as Knuckles appears on screen. Knuckles' punch is insane, is literally blasting Sonic out of the house. The house is getting destroyed. The house is not livable anymore. So that happened so fast from the moment that Tom and Maddie left to now. That was so quick. I also will comment that I think Knuckles looks great. I think him and Sonic, even being in this human world, like their designs are very cute. So I'm definitely glad in the first movie that I don't know if that was just a PR stunt, but I am so glad that they decided to change up Sonic's smile. And now Knuckles is wanting to restore power to his people back where he's from. So that's why he is teaming up with Eggman, because he believes that Longclaw, the people that originally took care of Sonic before he came to Earth, were involved with ending most of his tribe. So he is out for revenge. So it is natural that both Knuckles and Eggman team up, but thankfully Tails comes in. Tails stole a police cruiser and straight up just drives into Knuckles, sends him flying, and takes Sonic. Even though I feel like it would be faster for Sonic to run, they're driving in the cop car together. And Tails gives us some exposition about how Knuckles is in search for the Master Emerald. Y'all, I got a pink gem over there. I should have brought my pink gem. But Tails and Sonic are speeding away from Knuckles. Knuckles' power is insane. I mean, you know he already has those giant freaking fists, so you know he can throw a punch, but in this movie, he outmatches Sonic. We then cut to Eggman's henchman, who is working at a coffee place called the Mean Bean. And he kicks everyone out of the coffee place when he receives a signal that Eggman has returned. This dude, is this a queer moment? It's feeling kind of queer. Or maybe just like super loyal. But Eggman does get back to his headquarters and now has all his gizmos and gadgets at his disposal. So while this is happening, Sonic and Tails are trying to brainstorm why Knuckles believes that Sonic is involved with the Emerald and why Knuckles mentioned Longclaw. And they do find out that the Master Emerald actually resides on Earth. And Sonic is chosen via hologram from Longclaw to be the next protector of the Emerald. So Sonic and Tails hop in a ring to go to the location of the Master Emerald. And while this is happening, we see Eggman walk into the Mean Bean to finally retrieve his loyal henchman. So back in Hawaii, we do see Tom and Maddie's family playing some volleyball. I don't know why in this movie they're acting like James Marsden isn't jacked as well, but all of Maddie's family are shirtless and they are super muscular, super oiled up, and they are playing against James Marsden's character. And I'm just like, they have James Marsden flex. And I'm like, seriously, even though he's in a t-shirt, we can all tell he has significant muscle. So, listen, it is what it is, but come on, people. It's very funny when they try to dress people down as like, oh, they're just an ordinary, average-looking person. And it's like, no, homie has muscle on muscle. Let's not pretend. And we do see the juxtaposition between the warm weather in Hawaii and Sonic and Tails freezing their butts off in Russia to find the Master Emerald. There is a hilarious bit when they walk into this like restaurant and everyone looks super menacing. It reminds me of the Salty Spittoon. And then there is a grandma in a rocking chair and they're both like relieved, and then she holds up what she's knitting and it's a skull and crossbones. So there is a lot of cute humor sprinkled into this movie. And Tails reveals to Sonic that he's been watching him for quite a long time. He even knows that he prefers bubble baths over showers. So Tails has been around just making sure that Sonic is safe, and then decided to come warn him once he found out that Knuckles was on his tail. Sonic and Tails do not know Russian, so they are using a translator device to speak with the people in this restaurant or bar, and for whatever reason the device is messing up and they are saying the wrong things and end up insulting the waitress. She gets pretty pissed, so she calls on everyone to beat them up, to actually toss them into the fire, and they call for a privanka, I believe it's called, or pivanka. And that is a Siberian way to settle disputes. So they start a dance battle, basically. And they leave their map on the table, which gets cleaned up by the waitress when the dance battle starts. So while this is going on, they're trying to retrieve the paperback, and they end up having to dance for it. So this part is pretty goofy. They put on a song and start playing Uptown Funk. Somehow they both know extreme breakdancing moves. So listen, gamers, this one is what it is. And we can see that Tails really looks up to Sonic and has accepted himself more because of how Sonic is seen as this amazing person because of his differences. So it is really adorable to see Tails seeking friendship in Sonic, and Sonic not being so alone anymore with being the only speaking animal on the planet. So Tails and Sonic end up reaching a giant door, and inscribed on it is the past between the tribe of Knuckles and the tribe of the Owls. And so the story went that Knuckles' tribe created the Master Emerald, which was so powerful one person could wipe out armies, and the Owl tribe deemed that that was way too much power for one person to hold, so they decided to take the emerald and lock it away. So that is the long-standing battle between the echidnas and the owls. They're exploring the area that is supposed to hold the Master Emerald, and who do we see busting on in but Knuckles and Eggman to break the party down. Now there is this cool scene where Sonic does grab a piece of scrap while they're trying to escape Eggman and Knuckles, and he's snowboarding down it and avoiding a whole bunch of fire. It felt very reminiscent of the city escape road boarding, and then of course Knuckles grabs some scrap too, so he's snowboarding down as well. I thought that was pretty fun. They definitely showed the athletic abilities of Sonic in this movie pretty well. And at this location, they didn't actually get the emerald, they just got a compass to find it. So that's what Knuckles is now trying to get from Sonic and Tails. So a giant avalanche starts after all the commotion in the place of the Master Emerald's compass. So Sonic is throwing the compass to Tails because Knuckles has him cornered and Eggman is approaching near, and Eggman actually intercepts the compass from Tails. Tails gets hurt, and Eggman and Knuckles get away on this mountain, leaving Sonic and Tails to fend for themselves with this giant avalanche. So as they're snowboarding down, Tails is knocked out, and Sonic calls Tom, who is at the wedding of his friends. Now, he doesn't know it yet, but the ring that he has in his pocket is actually the wedding ring for his friends and not the teleportation ring. So they switched the two. So Tom has to interrupt the wedding in order to get the correct ring to throw in order to save Sonic and Tails. He does this by punching the groom, which I think is totally unnecessary. I mean, they weren't really listening when he asked for the ring, but all he needed to do was to say, hey, we accidentally mixed up the rings. Can you give that one to me? I have your real one here. I'm so sorry. Just take a look at it. It's not the right ring. And then that would have solved it. But instead, he knocks out the groom and then tosses the ring in the most inconvenient place possible, and Sonic and Tails come barreling through the portal covered in snow, and they basically ruin this wedding. It could have been avoided. Then in a twist, it is revealed that the wedding is actually a complete hoax. It is Operation Setup, I believe. No, Operation Catfish or something like that, where everyone at the wedding is an agent except for Tika Sumpter's, I think it's either her cousin or her friend. She was in the last movie. And it was a setup to get Sonic and Tom in the same area so they can capture Sonic. So they are just basically trying to protect the world from alien threats. And while they were getting captured by the agents, Sonic and Tails left Tails' backpack. So now Maddie has control of it. So Maddie and her friend Rachel, I don't know if it's her friend or if it's her cousin maybe. I don't know if they're related. But Maddie and Rachel now have control of Tails' gadgets. So they do go sneaking inside of the hotel in order to get Sonic and Tom back. And they were like aiming weapons at her. It all seems pretty intense. But with the use of the gadgets that were in Tails' backpack, they're able to move in. Rachel and Randall, the bride and groom of the fake wedding, end up making up. Randall, being the secret agent, is like, before I met you, I didn't know I could be that happy. So it appears that their love was real, even though the wedding was fake. Honestly, I could kind of do without the human side quest here, but I guess it is kind of sweet. And I do like Tika Sumpter, so that's nice. And with the compass, we do go over to Eggman and Knuckles, and they are cracking this code. They are searching for the location of the Master Emerald. They are on a beach, and it seems like they are getting pretty dang close. So Sonic and Tails better hurry up if they're going to save the world from Eggman's shenanigans. We do pan back over to Sonic, where they can actually see from the location of the wedding a beam of green light, which is where Eggman and Knuckles are. Sonic zooms off without Tails and uses his super speed to literally walk on water. And we do show a brief flash back to the Mean Bean with Eggman's henchmen, and one of the local cops, Tom's friend, actually bust into the Mean Bean since they now have their lair set up in there, and is telling Eggman's henchmen to put him up. Sonic makes it to the outside of the temple hidden in the water, and we see Eggman and Knuckles are going through a bunch of trials. There are giant boulders chasing them, there are spikes coming through the walls, and they are basically just traversing this temple in order to get to the Master Emerald. So it's not an easy task for them at all. We pan out to see that it is a giant maze to get to the Emerald's power, and Sonic has to cope with the large gap between his location and Eggman and Knuckles' location. But as we know, Sonic is speedy fast. He'll definitely get there in no time. It is a whole-on brawl between Knuckles and Sonic at this point. They're both fighting to be the one to touch the Emerald first. So you see Sonic slide around in his blue energy, and Knuckles is coming with the red. He's punching, but Sonic is way too fast for him. They're basically just showcasing their true power in this part. Knuckles is wailing on Sonic so hard, and Sonic is coming in. He's turning into a ball and just bashing down on Knuckles. It is quite intense, all while Eggman is left unattended, staring at the Emerald's power. It is at this point where Eggman's plan to betray Knuckles and break their little contract is revealed, and that doesn't make Knuckles too happy. But Eggman does get a hold of the Emerald, and the entire temple collapses in on itself, leaving Knuckles and Sonic to flee. Knuckles gets crushed by debris, and Sonic, being the good-hearted character he is, jumps into the water to save him. And the two work together to make it out successfully. They go through this whole back and forth as to why Sonic saved Knuckles, why Knuckles saved Sonic, and Sonic is basically just spreading his holiday cheer on Knuckles to be like, I'm friend, not foe. We should chill. Basically, to sum it up. So Eggman returns to the Mean Bean for his henchmen, and he is feeling all powered up. He has a green electric energy circling him, surging through him, and is all powerful now. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but Tika Sumpter's character, Maddie, does mention to some of the agents at the fake wedding that Dr. Eggman is still very much alive. So Dr. Eggman is basically public enemy number one, and they go down to fight him, not knowing that he has leveled up. So he literally floats out like an X-Men, and Eggman just starts wrecking stuff, like just doing total damage and destruction. Tails is back up now and brings his plane to get Sonic and Knuckles, and the three of them fly to all the commotion. At the scene of the crime, Eggman reveals a giant robot to further destroy everything. So Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails are trying to plan out something, but they really just end up winging it. They use the power of 3 to set themselves free. To start actually doing some destruction. There is an army of robots flying around as Eggman is in the giant robot, so they are taking those out. We're using Tails' smarts, we're using Sonic's speed, we're using Knuckles' power, and they are honing in, and they are dialing in on their skill set, getting ready to blast. I think the energy that radiates off of them, the yellow, red, and blue, looks really cool. I like the vibrant colors in the human world. I think that's such a fun effect. So Tails breaks into Eggman's robot. He just cuts a circular hole, flies in, and utilizes holograms to distract Eggman, while Knuckles then goes in for the punch. Straight knocks the emerald out of Eggman. So Eggman is now powered down. Now Sonic was knocked out from a blast, so he was on the ground, kind of hobbling towards the Master Emerald that got knocked out of Eggman. And Tom and Maddie were taken back to Seattle. And Tom and Maddie come by in like a Jeep and end up scooping Sonic up right before he gets stomped on by Eggman. So Eggman doesn't have the Emerald, but he still does have his giant robot at this point. And the emerald actually ends up crumbling in Sonic's hands. He tries to use the power of it, and it just does not work. But then at the last second, the pieces of the Master Emerald combine and flow into Sonic. So they were having their trademark "I love you" moment. We're gonna go. And Sonic turns golden and goes supersonic. He is flying in the air, just highlighted in yellow, and just finishes off the robot, literally tears the robot's head off, exposes Eggman. And to show just how strong Sonic is now, Eggman tries to sneak punch Sonic in supersonic mode, and he literally just stops it with his one paw. Wait, do hedgehogs have paws? With his one hand. And the entire arm crumbles. Like, Sonic is insane at this point. Super Saiyan. Sonic knocks over the robot and Eggman fall. And then in Sonic fashion, he harnesses the energy from the Master Emerald to summon a chili dog. And Sonic doesn't stay supersonic for too long. He does release the emeralds. And then Knuckles takes the pieces of the emerald and returns them back into a singular green emerald. And Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails form a new tribe and take a vow to keep the universe safe. And at the end of the movie, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Maddie, and Tom are all playing baseball. Of course, instead of hitting the ball with the bat, Knuckles punches the ball into oblivion. And they're all just having a cheeky little family-friendly moment, and it's very sweet. They go out to get ice cream, and Sonic is the hero that he always wanted to be. And with that, gamers, that is the end of the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie. I hope y'all enjoyed this recap. Let me know how I did. This is my very first one, so I know it's not going to be perfect or even whatever half of perfect is. But I really wanted to give this a try. I thought it would be fun for the podcast and the YouTube channel. Make sure to check out the podcast on Spotify for the audio only version of this episode. And let me know in the comment section what other movies, video game movies specifically, you'd like for me to recap for y'all. And I will take a look at them and maybe give them a try. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more podcast-friendly gaming content. And I hope that you're having a good day, a good night, a good time. And I will be talking to y'all gamers super soon with some more content. I'll see y'all gamers. Have a good night.